All right, it's time for another season preview. Tonight we're talking about the Miami Heat. Can they get back to the finals? Let's find out. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, like always, if you could just go like and subscribe to the channel, it's growing. The more we get likes and subscribes, the more people find out about it, and I would appreciate it. All right, the Miami Heat, a team that kind of took a step back last year after doing so well in the bubble. I've been a fan of the Miami Heat, and I was actually a really big fan of what they did this offseason. I felt like they're all in and they're ready to get to the next level again. Last season, they took a step back from the bubble where they went to the finals, and I think probably the biggest step back they made is I think that Bam Adebayo wasn't quite at the same level that he was in the bubble. I felt like, he was like a defensive player of the year candidate in the bubble. He was just dominant in the playoffs and really like the major force that took them to the finals. And I felt like last season he wasn't quite there. I know last season there was a lot of things going on, COVID things that happened, didn't get some great matchups in the playoffs, and they kind of just ran out of steam. This year, I think that we're going to see the better version of the Miami Heat, especially with the acquisitions that they made this year, or at least the one major acquisition, which we all know is Kyle Lowry. But I feel like they went to the bubble playoffs, they go to the finals, the season afterwards is so soon afterwards, and the Miami Heat are led by Jimmy Butler. He's the leader of this team, and I love Jimmy Butler. But I feel like that season, with just all the COVID things that happened, with having kind of the hangover from the finals, you go into the next season, which was right afterwards. And I think a lot of players, and I'm sure the Heat were one of them, were teams that were actually surprised by how quickly the season came. If you don't remember, it started before the end of the year. Some teams thought that season, last season, the 2020 season, was going to start in like January, even February or beyond, and they started early. I can't remember if it was like November or December, but it started much earlier than a lot of teams expected. And I think the Miami Heat were a team that needed a longer offseason, and because of that, it really just kind of wore them out. Well, now we're talking about this upcoming season, 2021, and guess what? This team is ready to go because they've had the offseason to get healthy. They got an incredible acquisition in Kyle Lowry. And I think they're going to be awesome. I think they're going to be great. What's interesting to me about the Miami Heat offseason is basically they just solidified a core that was a winning core, bring in an all-star player in Kyle Lowry, and then just re-signed everyone they needed to run it back because they know this team can make it to the finals. And honestly, if you look at that team that played the LA Lakers, you have that same team and you put Kyle Lowry on that team, you might be NBA champions. And that's why I like this team. So anyways, that's just the big acquisition we're going to talk about. They did re-sign Duncan Robinson, re-sign Jimmy Butler. Everything's locked in. They did bring in PJ Tucker, which I think is actually kind of an underrated signing. He was fantastic for Milwaukee. Don't let any of the Nationals deceive you. Like Bill Simmons can say all he wants about PJ Tucker and not scoring a lot of points. PJ Tucker, and if you go back to the channel, you can look at our breakdown of that final play in the finals with PJ Tucker helping make that steal. He is a defensive force and he spreads the floor. And I wonder if under Eric Spoelstra, if they can figure out a way to just improve his shooting. He may just be a corner three shooter, and if that's all he is, the defensive stuff he brings makes him fantastic. He is definitely a player that can just spread the floor, and if he can just get that corner three to fall, which he did really good in Houston, it's a big deal. So I really like the signings they did. They were subtle, and a lot of it was just solidifying the core that they had, but I liked it. They bring in Markieff Morris, a nice free agent. This guy brings in toughness. And he can hit shots. This is going to be a team that's big. And if you think about it, they've got a lot of big bodies that can switch in the playoffs. PJ Tucker can be on the floor during the playoffs and switch and play good defense. Markieff Morris can be on the floor, hit shots, and he can defend, big body that will defend and switch on the perimeter and defend big players. Really nice for the playoffs. This team, honestly, that's kind of the name of the game for the Miami Heat. This is a team that's just ready to win playoff games. Really, the only question is how healthy can they stay. All right, guys, let's take a moment to talk about Manscaped.com. Attention listeners across the galaxy, all the way from Australia to Houston. Do we have a pube problem? If so, our friends at Manscaped have cleared you for takeoff with their 4th generation and brand new Lawnmower 4.0. Kick your pubes to the next planet with the Performance Package 4.0. The orbits in your pants will feel like you're in zero gravity when you use the best tools for the job from the leaders in male grooming. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get your rocket ready for takeoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20. HoopsNerd20, guys. Go use it. Go save yourself like $20-30 and get the best male grooming kit in the world. You'll be a baller, literally. Ready for an out-of-world experience, fellas? Look no further than the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped. That's just taken off not only in the USA, but Canada, the UK, across Europe, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore, all across the globe. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code HoopsNerd20 at manscaped.com for a clean trinity and beyond. Your Spaceballs will thank you. The interesting thing about this Miami Heat team, and they're definitely just a contender, and this is the thing with contenders, a lot of times you're just running it back. And what I like about what the Heat did is everyone that was in that finals team, like the most important pieces, are back. And they added to that core with a stud in Kyle Lowry. I love Kyle Lowry. He is going to bring so many things to this team. This team might be the best defensive team in the NBA, honestly. Because if you have Jimmy Butler on the wing, you have Kyle Lowry at the point, Bam Adebayo at center, who is perennial defensive player of the year when he's playing at a high level. And then they add those big players on the wing and at the power forward spot. PJ Tucker is going to play a lot of minutes, especially in the playoffs. Markeiff Morris can play big minutes for you and play in the playoffs. We've just seen it happen multiple times. And they have spacing and shooting. You know, Lowry's a solid three-point shooter. Duncan Robinson, who they re-signed, is one of the elite three-point shooters in the NBA. So they've got just the team makeup that they need. They have the leadership, the mentality. Everyone talks about the Heat culture. They've got it. And Jimmy Butler is the lead of this team. He is a guy that is going to win you games in the playoffs and play tough defense and hit big buckets when it matters most. I just really like this team, and I feel like it's just a team that is underrated. You should not be forgotten. I think last season, where it was just kind of, I honestly feel like they sputtered out a little bit because of what they put into the finals run in the bubble. I feel like last year wasn't a great representation of what they are. This season, they're reloaded with more talent. They're ready to go. I like what they did, and I think they're going to win a lot of games. They're going to need to find a way to keep Kyle Lowry healthy, Jimmy Butler. They've got to figure out a way to get a top seed in the playoffs while also not wearing out their players. Because if we're just being honest, Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler are near the end of their careers. They're not done, obviously, but they're close. And you don't want those guys getting too many minutes and too much wear and tear on their legs before the playoffs. Because by the time they get to the finals, like they did in the bubble, you don't want them worn out. And honestly, in that finals series, they just seemed like they were kind of spent. And so if Kyle Lowry can play and they can try to figure out how to get that chemistry with him, play a full season and win enough to be at least a top 4 seed, and I think they definitely can, maybe a top 3 seed, if everything goes well. Why not? They're really solid when they're playing well. I think they can be great, and I think this team is definitely a team that could be a dark horse to come out of the Eastern Conference. They're really solid, but I think the key for this team is wear and tear and injuries. Can they stay fresh, and can they stay healthy? If they can, this team can beat a lot of teams, and they have the pieces to really give problems to the other teams in the Eastern Conference. We saw how PJ Tucker, could guard Kevin Durant about as good as anyone does. Kevin Durant's insane and just out of this world, but PJ Tucker was guarded him tough and at least made it, not the easiest thing in the world. At least had to work for his shots, even though he always makes them, but he makes them work. And you know what Jimmy Butler can do on defense. And Kyle Lowry's a good defensive player. One of the things I love about Kyle Lowry is he'll do anything to win the game, take charges. He hits big shots. And one thing that he's really good at is just playing off of other stars. The Toronto Raptors brought in Kawhi Leonard, and Kyle Lowry fit perfectly with him. He just fills in the blanks for your team. If you need a guy setting up others, he can do that. If you need a guy to just hit shots, he can do that. You need someone that can go rebound. He's a rebounding guard. I mean, that's why I think that's one of the things that's going to make this Miami Heat team really good defensively, they're going to be fantastic. They're going to be fantastic. And they've got the secret weapon in Eric Spoelstra, who, in my opinion, might be the best coach in the NBA. He's fantastic. If you could trade him to the Utah Jazz, I would appreciate it, Miami Heat. I would love Eric Spoelstra. He's fantastic. He makes this team better all with whatever they have on the floor. They're just coached to the best level. And I don't, maybe you can let me know in the comments, guys, if you agree or disagree. Also in the comments, let me know who else we want to talk about. Although we've been getting lots of comments, we got a lot of teams to talk about still. The season's coming. All right, guys, that's all I've got tonight about the Miami Heat. We'll see how good they are, but I believe they're going to be really good. It's now time to talk about the all-stars of the channel. These are the guys that make it happen, the guys that get buckets and fill in the blanks like Kyle Lowry. Let's give a shout-out to Kelsey Hamer, the Hammer, and one, Anton Warren, Ezekiel Raisibe, JT Buckets Warzel, Austin R. Grant, the editor extraordinaire, Eric C., the C stands for champion, Donald Schooley, schooling all of us, DW to CB, Darren Williams, to Carlos Boozer, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo, Lee Christensen driving the lane, Ryan the Legend Perry, Justin Ty H, Patrick Kubo the Connoisseur, Robert Hall of Fame, and DW Jazz going all the way. Guys, like I said, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share it with your buddies. Let them know. Share it online. Share it with everyone. Like an assist man and Kyle Lowry. I would appreciate it. Guys, I will talk to you next time.